Welcome to the August 18th, 2025 regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. If you can take a moment to silence your cell phone and then join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First on the agenda is roll. John, do you mind taking roll for us, please?
Not at all. President Roush.
Here.
Vice President McFarland. Absent. Secretary Ringgold. Absent. Treasurer Lauterbach is here. Member Blasey.
Here.
Member Craig.
Here.
Member Horowitz.
Present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Item 2.1, approval of the minutes from the July 21st, 2025 regular meeting and the July 21st, 2025 closed session. Item 2.2, recommendations for hire. The below staff are being recommended for hire as listed in your agenda packet with the according assignments. Item 2.3 are resignations. The below staff announced their resignation on the effective dates as listed in your agenda packet. Item 2.4, the financials. June 2025 financials will not be available for approval until the September Board of Education meeting. And then finally, item 2.5, legal payments. Approval is requested to authorize legal payments to the below list of professional legal fees. Foster Swift for $588. I have a motion for items 2.1 through 2.5.
So moved. I move the adoption of the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Lauterbach, support by Craig. Any discussion or questions? All in favor of approving items 2.1 through 2.5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item 3.1 is, again, Spotlight on Excellence, and we have members from Dow High School here. Welcome,
While
Scott.
Principal Cochran is approaching the podium, I'll just offer that last year we started the Spotlight on Excellence, giving each of our schools 7 minutes. I'm laughing because I said to Scott, is it 7 minutes? 7 minutes at each board meeting to just have a chance to offer the board information that you might not know about a school. So it was very well received by you all, so we are going to cycle through those again this year. Thanks for being
Thank
here,
you.
Scott.
You bet. Thank you, Penny, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. My name is Scott Cochran, principal at Dow High School, and normally I'd be here with some staff and students as well, but given what's going on tomorrow, I figured I'd fly solo tonight and let them get ready for tomorrow. So our Spotlight on Excellence tonight, we're going to talk about empowering success or the impact of inclusion for students with IEPs. And when I was thinking about what to talk about, a lot of different thoughts came to mind. So I thought about our CTE opportunities in business, agri-science, home building, auto tech, and more, but of course we talked about that last year. You may remember I thought about Future Teachers of Tomorrow, which is a great program helping prepare our students that want to be teachers, but I think you've heard about that as well. Our award-winning music program, our engineering courses, and if you're ever coming over to Dow High and want to check out our engineering classroom and our lab, please let me know, and I'd love to show it to you. It's amazing. We have great assessment scores. We're in the top 6% in the state of Michigan. That's certainly something to be very proud of and a tribute to our families, our students, and our staff. We also have early middle college, dual enrollment, work study, many opportunities for our students both in and outside of the traditional classroom. Could have talked about any of those things, but I'm really excited about our topic for today, the impact of inclusion for students with IEPs. So let's dig into that a little bit. So what are we talking about when we talk about inclusion for students with IEPs? We're talking about ways to make sure that our students that have individualized educational programs are fully integrated, welcomed, and valued in the classroom and in our school building. And what does that look like? It looks like that they're full participants in their education and full participants with their peers, both students with IEPs and students without. They're welcomed and valued throughout our building. They have reciprocal social relationships. So again, we're talking about relationships that they have both within and without students in the general education population and students with IEPs. We're talking about a service, not a place. In the past, at times, people would think about special education as something that happens over there. That's not what we're talking about when we talk about inclusion. This is throughout the building, giving students access to everything that's happening, all the opportunities that are available. And what we discovered over the years, not just at Dow High, but in many places, that there's benefits for all students, not just for the students with IEPs when you do this, but you have to take special effort to make it happen. We have individualized supports in place for our students with IEPs, and it's a collaborative approach by our staff and by our families working together. So we're expanding. We're excited to be expanding our inclusion opportunities at Dow High for our students with IEPs. It's already been happening, but it'll be happening more this year. What does that look like? We have an IB Language and Literature 2 class, which is our most rigorous senior English class that'll be co-taught this year. We have a health class that'll be co-taught. PE and health maintenance will be parallel. 2 teachers, 2 groups of students that'll be working together. And then we have increased opportunities for co-taught classes in science and social studies for our 9th and 10th graders. And we're excited about all of that, not to get too deep into weeds on special education language, and Jerry can help me out here. He's the expert in the room. But we talk about accommodation or modification. We want to accommodate our students so they're able to achieve and understand the curriculum. We don't want to modify the curriculum or water it down. So we're accommodating, not modifying, and that's really, really important. So let's take a look at one really specific example that our staff is really excited about, and that's IB Language and Literature 2. And someone want to read this chart for us? No, I'm just kidding. We'll take a look at it a little bit bigger. I know it's still kind of small, but if you look at this, these are the English classes that we offer to our students throughout their time at Dow High. So we have 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, different courses at each grade level. And as our students progressed, we're looking to get as many of our students with IEPs successful in our IB Language and Literature sequence of courses. And well, this looks like my previous presentation. That's all right. And there's a reason for that. And what we're doing, we want to have students experience the true rigor and the challenge and the growth that happens in IB Language and Literature. So the Language and Literature 1 course is for juniors, IB Language and Literature 2 is for seniors. And in our course, what makes it special, well, before we talk about what makes it special, we'll talk about how we got there in the first place. Because this has been a multi-year process that many of our staff have been a part of. So we've taken a look at 9th and 10th grade and having more of our students take our more rigorous class for them in 9th and 10th grade. And then we had a co-taught IB Language and Literature 1 class for 11th grade students. So it's students with IEPs who in the past would not traditionally be in that class were in the class. And that leads to benefits of inclusion. And we talked about that a little bit before, right? What are benefits of inclusion? These are the different benefits, especially the reciprocal social relationships, the exposure to the gen ed curriculum, and the benefits for students throughout the class. So within this class, students are exposed to more complex texts, more comparison and contrast, higher level thinking, more in-depth class discussions, and frankly, more rigorous assessments, which are more difficult, where they would not be successful without the additional supports that are in place. And in the past, maybe they weren't given that challenge. Now our goal is to give them the challenge. And I know you're familiar with International Baccalaureate. So the IBO, or the International Baccalaureate Organization, was so excited about what we're doing, it got their attention because it doesn't happen in a lot of places. They've interviewed our teachers that are involved. They're trying to encourage other schools to take a similar path. So that was pretty neat to see as well. So to give you a little bit of background from our previous year, because we had students in IB Lang and Lit 1, and we were encouraging many, many students to take the IB Language and Literature assessment, last year we had 106 students take that assessment, which was about a third of our senior class, which is a huge number. Most schools don't come anywhere near approaching that. Many of those students earned college credit. The numbers there, about 56%, if they had gone to the University of Michigan, about 56% of those students would have earned college credit based on their assessment scores. To give another example, more close to home, if they'd gone to Saginaw Valley, about 87% of them would have earned college credit. The colleges get to decide, how they give credit. And about 20% of students would have earned credit for 2 classes at the University of Michigan. So I think we've got some U of M parents on the table there. They could tell us how hard that is, right, Penny? So just to emphasize again, the research shows us that not only is this good for the students that have IEPs, because after all, growth begins where comfort ends, as long as you're providing that support, but it's beneficial to all students that are involved. It'd be remiss if I didn't give a quick shout out to the teachers, because these are the folks that really make it happen. Our teachers are our heroes. They do an amazing job. I'd stand up against anybody that wants to criticize public educators or our teachers specifically. But Sam Nelson and Sarah Peratt are the ones that are leading the charge on this. Sarah Pancost, our IB coordinator, has been a thought partner for them and an inspiration for this project as well. And like I mentioned, it's been highlighted by IB, which is really cool, and we're pretty excited about it. Lots of great benefits for our students, and we're looking forward to more growth for them. So, what questions do you have for me?
Does anybody want to go first? You said a couple of things that really caught my attention and wanted to highlight, because this is really what public education is all about, is making sure that every single student that walks through our doors has an opportunity to not just come to school, but to be challenged. And some of the things that you said is that IEPs and special education are a service, not a place. You know, I think when those of us on the board went to public school, some of us even went to Midland Public Schools, it was very much a place. And it was where other kids went to learn in a different classroom.
Yeah.
And I think about some of the things that you said around accommodating for the student, not modifying the rigor, challenge, or growth that a classroom sees, is truly what we're trying to do with our vision statement and what we're trying to do with Midland Public Schools. And it's exciting to see our students and our staff continue to lean in and provide a space where that rigor, challenge, and growth still happens, while pulling other kids along with us and making sure that we are not just looking out for the students that are college bound, but also students at every end of the spectrum. So a huge testament to what you're doing at Dow High with your staff, and just want to say thank you and figure out how we can continue to replicate throughout our buildings, so that we continue to empower success.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really important. And of course, we have 1,300 students. We have students that have lots of different visions for their life after high school. And so we have students that do very well at our most prestigious colleges. We have students that go to any number of 4 universities, community college, trade programs. They go to trade programs while they're in Dow High. So we have many, many different paths to success. And this is a really important one right here too. So.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Have fun tomorrow.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Big day tomorrow. Next on our agenda is item 3.2. You'll notice that we've updated this to be both strategic planning and facility planning. So one of the things that we talked through last meeting was our need to bring in strategic planning facilitation. So we'll talk about that in a second. And then also give an update on facility planning. So as we go through this strategic planning process, I think it's important that not only members of MPS, Board of Education, but also the public have the most up-to-date information as possible about what state our facilities are in. So what we'd like to do going forward is actually put out an RFP to do a facility assessment and redo the work that had been done a number of years ago to make sure that we understand the state of our buildings, what needs to be fixed, and what kind of that looks like on a dollar basis. So we'll be putting together a request for proposal to go out to firms and open up the bidding process for who we use as a firm to do some of that assessment and architectural work on the front end, so that that can be merged in with the strategic planning process at the right point in time. As a lot of people know, we've been working with one construction firm and one architect for a number of years now, and feel that it's appropriate to open up the bidding process to make sure that either they're still the right firm, or if they choose to bid or not to bid, if there's another firm that the board feels is better, we'll go with that one. I think that's all I had for item 3.2. On item 3.3, we did receive back a number of different strategic planning RFP responses. So item 3.3 is for action on the strategic planning firm recommendation. And again, at the last Board of Education meeting, the board had asked the administration to put out an RFP, make a recommendation back to the board, which they've done after going through approximately 10 bids, or not approximately, after going through 10 bids. And the proposals for a strategic planning firm were evaluated based on the response elements outlined in the MPS strategic planning RFP, including required disclosures, costs, experience, and scope of service. Administration recommends awarding the contract to Omnitech of Midland, Michigan at a base price of $43,750, with additional services beyond the included 250 hours to be billed at $175 per hour. Operating funds would be used for these purchases. I will maybe open the floor up to Penny quick and just talk maybe about the selection process that you're recommending and how you got to the recommendation of
Sure.
Omnitech, as well as I believe you also called references. So.
I did. So we are recommending Omnitech of Midland, Michigan to serve as our strategic planning agency. I did call references, several of them, and I want to offer you all just some insights that included organizations like Midland Habitat for Humanity, who has done at least 3. They might be engaging in their 4th strategic planning cycle. Bay Aranac ISD, Midland County ESA has also worked with Omnitech. The Midland Business Alliance, the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Of those leaders I called, overwhelmingly favorable comments, to the point when I asked where the areas of improvement were, they struggled to give me any. So the highlights include that the team at Omnitech is highly experienced in strategic planning. The process they use is sophisticated and grounded in research, but it is also practical, positive, and swift. It moves groups through those rougher spots of the process with an efficiency, but not in a way that hurries through the important dialogue. The team has deep knowledge of the local and regional community, but they also have a national and global perspective based on the work that they do. And most critically, they understand our local community, the strengths, the challenges, the opportunities, the aspirations, and have worked in our local community in ways that have brought together diverse groups of stakeholders to solicit input and build strategic plans and solutions to other challenges we have. There were, as you noted, 10 proposals submitted, and many of them used a similar process. When you really distill down the strategic planning process, the core components are very similar across many of those proposals. We really leaned into the fact about where we are right now as an organization, and what we understand is the need to connect with our community and to have this independent third party who knows our community and can help us make those connections to reach all of our constituents throughout this process. That's the crux of our recommendation.
Thanks, Penny.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve item 3.3 strategic planning firm recommendation.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Lauterbach, support by Blazy. Any further discussion or questions for Penny or?
Yes, I took the opportunity to review the 4 proposals that scored the highest on the rubric. I'm not able to support this recommendation. I didn't see the scoring for Omnitech reflected in their proposal. And I appreciate that information came from checking the references. I would have liked to see references checked for additional candidates if we were going to rely on that information in the rubric. So I'm hopeful that if we go forward with Omnitech that we have a smooth and fruitful process, but I'm not able to support it.
Just as a point of clarification, Mecki and board, I did not call references until after we reviewed the proposals and that emerged as the top proposal. I felt then to complete sort of my responsibility that I needed to check in to verify with those references.
And thank you for that clarification. Based on just the proposal, I didn't see that the scores reflected.
So, while I'm sure that Omnitech is an excellent strategic planning firm, they did highlight their school experience in, I believe it was the first page, like the cover letter, and then I didn't really see that reflected throughout the proposal or in the references that they provided. I really, really would have liked to see a public school district that was even remotely similar to ours as a reference, because I think that that would have spoken volumes, getting a reference from a group or an organization like that. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure that they are skilled at strategic planning. It would have just been nice to see some of what they talked about on the first page of their proposal reflected throughout their proposal. I would have felt a little bit better about them as an organization.
So just to clarify, and so the Bay Aranac ISD and the ESA, even though they've done multiple for them, you're still saying like more the traditional K-12 board.
I think that would have been really valuable.
One of the reflections that I had is walking through the proposals and having been through this now with an equity audit that we've done, a firm for superintendent search, a firm for the most recent facilities assessment and follow-on bond proposal that we put forth. One of the things that I reflected on was coming out of the bond vote, one of the things that we had discussed as a board was really diving into and leaning into the thoughts, feelings, and connection with our community. One of the trepidations I had about some of the other firms in the proposal is when they're not local, it doesn't mean that they can't do it. But I think we have a very unique community, one that we did lose a bond vote, and we've got to lean into that that feedback and recommendation from our community. And having seen what Omnitech has done recently in and around our community, felt strongly that based on what the administration was recommending, that those successful outcomes that Omnitech has led our community through, to a great extent, we can't unknow that as a community, and have a lot of respect for Omnitech having dove in head first into some of those really tough and challenging things that our community has dealt with. For example, the Four Lakes Task Force and trying to find a solution that worked for everybody. So with that, I thought it was a sound recommendation. Any other comments or feedback, questions? All in favor of approving item 3.3, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you, Mekhi, for your valuable feedback. It's not easy being a dissenting voice, but it is very important. So thank you. Item 4 is request to address the board. At this time, Don Hinkle is first on the list. Welcome, Don.
Don Hinkle, 309 Morning Meadow Way. I have 2 quick issues on why I didn't vote for the bond. First is a long-term debt for short-term assets. So if I understood, I'm not saying I understood it right, but the bond would have gone to finance buses or computers, then that I'm against that idea. If you've got something with a known life, like a bus, let's say it's 10 years, you should have the financing no more than 10 years. And that's about all I have to say on that. No more, shouldn't be long-term debt for short-term assets. Second thing, this is a little more controversial. I'll probably be going full IRS on you a bit. It is whether holding the special election was a violation of your fiduciary duty, particularly your duty to care, when it was with a little planning difference it could have been during the general election. Now, the Freedom of Information grapevine has the cost at over $100,000, and so if it had done at the general election, it would have been about 0. So now I'm not the litigious type, so you don't need to worry about that, but I will just say that if you go from here over to Reed City, down to Big Rapids, back into Mount Pleasant, down to the Tri-County Lansing area, over to Flint, and come on up to Bay City, there's bound to be some hungry attorneys that would want to address this issue. So I was treasurer for a Music Boosters down in Holt when we lived down there, and made sure that the bylaws that each individual member was indemnified by the board. So whatever governing documents you have, I am recommending that you have that so that you're covered, because if anybody did bring suit, it would be against each of you individually as well as collectively. The second thing is you should have good director and officer liability insurance just to make sure you're protected. This is just a goofy economy, and it's a goofy, litigious society we're in, so just to keep you protected, you should, behind closed doors, make sure that you're all covered and protected on that. So I think that's pretty much it. Because of a conflict, I won't be here next month. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. I'm not going to try the last name, but Grace, struggling with it. Oh. Okay, no problem. Joe Bonadies.
Greetings. I have a few diverse topics to run through tonight, mostly showing that the curtain is or needs to be pulled back on MPS. Sometime in 2023, all the information from the MPS board meetings from 2012 to 2020 were removed from the website. I asked your IT leader, and he said it was a space issue. Yes, videos are large files, but you have deleted your history. May I suggest that you put at least the minutes and the supporting information of those meetings back on the website? It would be a step towards transparency and away from George Orwell. In 2022, there was a 28-page continuity of learning plan hidden in the agenda package and represented by one sentence on the consent agenda. I asked about it at the following meeting. Quote, quoting Superintendent Sharrow from August 22 minutes, the continuity of learning plan is updated and posted as required by law. This plan may be reviewed on the MPS website. The plan appears to have been reviewed by the curriculum subcommittee in 2023 and 2024, not actually shared in the agenda packages, and I'm betting at least one board member has never seen it. I have not seen a continuity of learning plan ever posted on the old website, and it's not on the new one, quote, as required by law, unquote. Have we learned nothing since 2022? Do we really want to do it all again the same way? Can we, like, get that updated so that it reflects something that might be less grating than the last time? Next one. Regarding the 2.95 bond millage, while Phil did an admirable job at attempting damage control, the fact that the levy year 2025 ending in fiscal year 2026 started on June 1st, 2025, that is a fact. It also appears, based on numbers provided by staff, that the 2.30 mils originally and officially submitted to the state appear to still be true, which means that MPS is removing almost $2 million excess dollars from the local economy. I smiled at the "we might need it in the event of a tax appeal" argument. MPS is collecting an extra 28% in taxes. I would hope that the Midland Daily News would be reporting on a tax appeal case of that magnitude, as it would affect the city and the county as well. So it appears that the 0.65 millage reduction, which made the 3.95 feel like 3.25, is still being collected. And in 2026, the millage is supposed to be 2.19. So are we getting set up for an even bigger "it feels better" campaign next time? Lastly, I noticed that you had legal questions on the H-1B visa case in your agenda package. I hired someone on an H-1B visa while I worked at Dow. That is an onerous process. I have trouble believing no U.S. citizen can be found to do any of the jobs in MPS. Thank you.
Renita Bonadies.
Good evening. I was curious why the agenda packet did not include any of the bid information for the strategic planning that you were just discussing. These have been included in previous packets for bid request. Instead, the packet only included the high-level table with a couple pieces of information noted and high-level prices. Did you as the board members see all of the bids? I've heard reference that said that perhaps you didn't. Did the FFO subcommittee make any decisions in this process? Sounds like it was just the administration instead of the board reviewing this. The agenda packet from April 21st of 25 meeting included 4 bids, and it included the actual bids in that agenda packet. Is there a reason the public can't see these comparisons now with the actual full bid submissions, as has been done in the practice for the last 3.5 years we've been receiving agenda packets? Why wasn't it included this time? We've paid over $1,200 for agenda packets over the past 3.5 years, and this information used to be included. Is there a supplement to the agenda packets that the public no longer has access to? We know the superintendent quit including the letters to the board and the FOIA requests that used to be included as well. The public was always told that no decision was being made because we always take the lowest bid, but this was not the lowest bid. You gave a reason for having chosen that, but does the public know what that really is? because we can't actually see that information. And I do realize we can submit a FOIA for this information, but is that really how the district chooses to spend their time and the public's? This board has complained about FOIA requests, but then makes it so more information has to be FOIA'd. Then there's the current process of waiting until after 4 p.m. on the 5th day to respond to a FOIA, saying we need another 10 days. And this has been happening even with short-term requests. I submitted a FOIA request August 6th asking for invoices from the Bannock, and Cassidy, the group that actually did the surveys and community input and presentation last fall. That was never included when I did a FOIA request for all of the election-related expenses. So am I to believe that that organization did all of that work for free? How much transparency is really taking place with MPS these days? It certainly seems to be less and less. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board tonight? Don, just to address one thing, within the bond, so you raise a good question. How long is the lifetime of an asset versus how long is it financed? Things like buses, computers, technology, equipment, for example, if the team replaces a server rack, those are financed within a bond set equal to their expected lifetime. For example, I don't remember exactly what a bus is, 7 years, Penny? Don't quote me on the exact timeline. But a bus does not get financed at the same length as a building. So everything has its own depreciation schedule commensurate with its expected lifetime.
And Phil, just to sharpen that point, the bond application has a table in it that shows the
That
life
breakdown.
of each of those. Yeah.
Yep. Item 5 is Finance, Facilities, and Operations. 5.1, FFO Study Committee Meeting Notes from August 4th, 2025.
FFO Study Committee met on August 4th. Present were myself, Chairman John Lauterbach, Jennifer Ringgold, Penny Miller-Nelson, Brian Bruton, and Anna Womack. We had no guests present. We met here at the Admin Center. The meeting started at 5 o'clock. We discussed cybersecurity services. Administration will propose the purchase of cybersecurity services for the district. Fast Ice network gear. Administration will propose the purchase of network gear for the Fast Ice Drive property. CTE lab furniture. Administration will propose the purchase of installation services for CTE lab furniture for both high schools. Fire alarm system. Administration will propose the purchase of fire alarm system for the Fast Ice Drive property. Debt millage rate. The committee discussed the debt millage rate to be levied. Strategic planning. The committee discussed district strategic planning. Facilities assessment. The committee discussed an assessment of district facilities. The meeting adjourned at 6:20 p.m. And you will have all of those items brought forward to you tonight with more detail.
Thanks, Brad. Item 5.2 for action, cybersecurity services. Anna.
Administration recommends approving a purchase order to CyberForce Q of Plymouth, Michigan for $77,740 for managed cybersecurity services to supplement and enhance our IT team in the areas of data and system security. The pricing provided by CyberForce Q was secured through the State of Michigan My Deal Extended Purchasing Program, ensuring compliance with board purchasing policy. The expenditure will be paid for with operating funds.
Thanks, Anna. Do I have a motion for item 5.2?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Horowitz, support by Lauterbach. Any discussion or questions on 5.2? All in favor of approving item 5.2, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Item 5.3 for action, Fast Ice network gear. Anna.
Administration recommends approving a purchase order to Vector Tech Group of Freeland, Michigan for $57,310.05 for network equipment for the new facility at Fast Ice Drive. This equipment includes Ethernet switches, access points, configuration, installation, a post-installation site survey, optimization, and tuning. So provide wireless connectivity throughout the building. Pricing provided by Vector Tech Group was secured through the RIMC bid, ensuring compliance with board purchasing policy. Expenditure will be paid for through capital improvement funds.
Thanks, Anna. Can I get a motion for item 5.3?
So moved.
Support.
I feel like I need the Jeopardy music tonight. Motion by Lauterbach, support by Horowitz. Any further questions or discussion on 5.3? All in favor of approving item 5.3, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item 5.4 for action, CTE lab furniture. Anna.
Bids were solicited and a tabulation has been provided for CTE lab furniture installation at both high schools. Administration recommends issuing a purchase order to NEIS Collective of Grand Rapids, Michigan for $166,500. STEM grant funds will be utilized for this purchase.
Thanks. Can I get a motion for item 5.4?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lauterbach, support by Blasey. Any further discussion or questions on 5.4?
So we didn't receive any other bids for this item.
That's correct.
And how quickly are they going to deliver the furniture?
It's for the installation of the furniture.
Oh, okay. How fast are they going to install it?
There's going to be, since the labs are currently being utilized, there will be one done over winter break. I believe that's to be Dow High, and then Midland High should be done over this coming summer.
I only ask because I wonder if we could solicit more bids if we have until winter break.
With this, I know that it's very specialized furniture. It's not just like normal furniture. And with them coming in, my understanding is that it's kind of a specialized industry, that there's not a lot that bid within there. But it did hit all of the normal areas that would be out for people to bid upon. So I do believe that we have done our due diligence in putting it out there as we should.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of approving item 5.4, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item 5.5 for action, fire alarm system. Anna.
Bids were solicited and a tabulation is provided for a fire alarm system at the Fast Ice Drive building. Administration recommends issuing a purchase order to Summit Fire Protection of Mount Pleasant, Michigan for $60,516. Capital improvement funds will be utilized for this purchase.
Thanks, Anna. Can I get a motion for item 5.5, please?
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Lauterbach, support by Blasey. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of approving item 5.5, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5.6 for information, gifts. Anna.
The total amount of gifts listed for information only tonight is $4,403. These gifts this evening represent support for programs ranging from support for BPA at Midland High, band at Dow High, professional development in memory of Dr. Art Frock, various athletic programs at Midland High, robotics at Dow High, and the ALPS program. As is tradition, all donors are going to be recognized in the credits of this evening's broadcast and also through board correspondence upon your behalf. We are grateful for our community's support of our students and our programs.
Thanks, Anna. And I will say, I think both booster clubs and music programs and all of the above are out fundraising right now. So if you want to, please open your doors and your wallets to give the kids a time of day. I'm sure they would appreciate it. So, item 6, human resources. The committee has not met since our last board meeting, but item 6.1 for information, staff retirements. Kara.
The below staff member announced their retirement effective on December 31st, 2025. Nicole Fleming, a teacher at Central Park Elementary School.
Thank you, Kara. Item 6.2 for information. Kara.
The board and staff extend their deepest sympathy to the following families. Nancy Newman, who passed away on July 24th, 2025. Nancy began her career with MPS in 1973 and was employed as an occupational therapist at numerous schools until her retirement in 1986 with 13 years of service. Ronald Fitch, who passed away on July 26, 2025. Ronald began his career with MPS in 1955 and was employed as a teacher, coordinator of cooperative education, assistant principal at Midland High School, principal at Dow High School, and director of school services, retiring in 1990 with 35 years of service. Frank Altimore, who passed away on July 29, 2025. Frank began his career with MPS in 1967 and was employed as a social studies physical education teacher at Midland High School, Jefferson Middle School, and Dow High School. He also coached girls golf and was head football coach at Dow High School. Frank retired in 2003 with 36 years of service. Shirley Smith, who passed away on July 30th, 2025. Shirley began her career with MPS in 1972 and was employed as a paraprofessional at Longview Elementary School until her retirement in 1997 with 25 years of service. Danny Hill, who passed away on August 2nd, 2025. Danny began his career with MPS in 1973 and was employed as a special education teacher at Siebert Elementary School and Midland High School before transitioning to counselor principal at Mills Elementary School. In 1991, he was employed solely as the principal at Mills Elementary School until his retirement in 2004 with 31 years of service.
Thank you, Kara. Item 7, correspondence from the Board of Education to the following firms or individuals listed in your agenda packet. Item 8, scheduled activities for information. All meetings are regular and special meetings of the Board of Education will begin at 7 p.m. at the Administration Center unless otherwise noted, with the next meeting being September 15th. Item 9, study session discussion. Are there any points of clarification or questions that any of the board members had? I will open it up to Penny. Item 9.2.
I just have a few because you know tomorrow's the first day of school. So we're just all really excited to welcome back students. It brings just an energy to everything we do. A big thank you to our entire team who've been working hard, including our teachers, to make sure that our classrooms are ready, that we have meaningful and engaging activities. Our facilities are sharp, our buses are ready to go. Just everyone's been putting in that last effort these last few weeks to make sure that it's a little extra special. So we're excited. Our team, the curriculum team and our superintendent team will be out every morning for these next 2 weeks, just being present at schools, offering an extra set of hands to help wherever we can with drop-off lines, with lockers at middle school. Always seem to be a fun little place for us to help those students who are struggling, and just a smiling face to welcome folks. I want to thank the parents and families who've engaged already with our staff. We've had some open houses and curriculum nights. We'll have more later this week. There might even be a few that following week. And we've had really good turnout at those and are really grateful for that kind of engagement. It's going to continue to be a focus for us this year, finding new ways to engage with our parents and our families. Every year I remind all of us, our community, to just have a little extra patience and grace this next week. Buses are back on the roads. It takes some time for those routes to get into the groove and for us to really get running on time. Also, to just be a little more aware and alert. Students walking to school, riding buses to school. We have lots of kids out now. Not that we didn't before out in our neighborhoods, but now they're really out walking back to school. So we ask for everyone's extra vigilance and patience. Thank you to our teachers and principals and curriculum team. We had several days of really high quality professional learning across the district. Our opening session was very energizing. We gave out our awards, which we'll show here in a moment. And it was just a really great way to kick off our school year. And then our curriculum team and our building leadership teams really closed that loop with collaborative sessions and professional learning. Each year at our opening session, we do honor our award winners, and we're very thankful that the Esther and Carl Gerstacker Fund at the Midland Area Community Foundation, which is funded through the Roland M. Gerstacker Foundation, they offer us funds to hand out these awards, and so these staff members received these awards at opening session. We had 4 members of our team honored with the Distinguished Service Award: Barb Camp at Northeast, Amy Gates at the Pre-Primary Center, Michelle Rabideau at Central Park Elementary, and Jessie Studebaker, who's here in the curriculum office. And these are surprises, so if you were at the session, it's extra special that they are genuinely surprised, and thanks to Sarah and the whole team who keeps that a surprise and coordinates with their families so that their families can come up on stage to surprise them. Same thing with our Gerstacker Teacher Proficiency Awards. We had 4 winners this year: Buffy Hall, Kim Sheldrake-Formsma, Shannon Panasic, and Sarah Pratt. And these were also just really lovely presentations, genuine surprise, and some clever presentations this year. So thank you to the board members who serve on those teams. I think, John, you're on the Gerstacker team, and I apologize, I can't remember who's on our DSA team. Is it you, Phil?
Yep.
Yes. And then we have our Administrator Inspiring Excellence Award. And this year's winner was Keith Seibert. Again, he was, I think, actually dumbfounded. He was that surprised. And it was just a really lovely opportunity to present Keith with that award. And then we also recognize our retirees, and it feels a little awkward because those folks aren't in the room. They're experiencing their first fall, not having to prepare for the school year, but we do take an opportunity to say their names and put them up on the screen. So I'll just invite you to take a look at those retirees, and you already know that because those came before you, but we want a chance to celebrate them. We also took an opportunity to ask all of our new team members to stand up, and that was really fun to see our new teachers and for them to just feel the support and encouragement from everyone in the audience. So overall, it was a great day. I think that was our last slide, right, Sarah? All right, so we're off. New school year, new opportunities, very excited.
Excellent. Thanks, Penny. The opening curriculum night and meet the teacher night at the elementary level is always just special, right? And you get to see just a small sample, a very small sample of the wonderful educators that we have. And the best part about meet the teacher night is always seeing kids run into the classroom of the teacher they had last year and give the teacher a huge hug. And that's, I think, across every building, across every classroom, and it's always just really special to see and experience and how excited the kids are to come back. So wish all of our students, staff, and families a wonderful start to the school year, and let it be a safe one. So with that, item 10, it's closed session. This does require a roll call vote. To go into closed session, so do we, somebody want to make a motion first for 10.1?
I move to go into closed session to consult with legal counsel regarding pending litigation as permitted under MCL 15.268, Section 8E.
Support.
Motion by Horowitz, support by Craig. John, do you
Yep, I'll
mind?
call the roll. President Roush?
Yes.
Treasurer Lauterbach is yes. Member Blasey?
Yes.
Member Craig?
Yes.
Member Horowitz?
Yes.
All right, motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Move into closed session, and then we'll come out of closed session to adjourn. All right, we have moved out of closed session back into open session. Item 11 is adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Lauterbach, support by Horowitz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned.